And since January 29th, 2025 will be the first day of the year of the snake, I just want to remind everybody that Donald Trump referred to himself as the snake on many different occasions.
Who has heard the poem called The Snake? So I have it. Does anybody want to hear it again? You sure? Are you sure? So here is The Snake. It's called The Snake. They're not sending their best. On her way to work one morning.
You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab him by the...
Down the path, along the leg, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake.
And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it.
You're like
everything is good.
His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. America first. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you.
It's working out very nicely. You see it at the airports, you see it all over. It's working out very nicely.
Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, I'm president. Hey, I'm president. Can you believe it?
Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed the vicious snake.
If you cross the border unlawfully, then we will prosecute you.
She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk.
Very fine people on both sides.
And laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk.
$3 billion, $533 million.
She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived.
This is an island surrounded by water, big water.
Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman, sighed that vicious snake.
I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story. It's an excuse.
She clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heavens, you would have died.
If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight.
The actions of the Trump presidency revealed the dishonorable fact of the president's betrayal of his oath of office, betrayal of our national security, and betrayal of the integrity of our elections.
But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite.
Was there a quid pro quo? The answer is yes. Everyone was in the loop.
I have saved you, cried the woman. And you've bitten me, heavens, why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die.
And President Trump has been impeached by the House of Representatives for abuse of power.
Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
Thank you.
Well, it is an absolute honor to be here. A couple of folks had to leave, but I definitely want to thank Minister Naftali Bennett for being here, the Deputy Defense Minister who spoke, the Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem. Thank you, sir, for being here. Members of the Knesset. None of us would be here without Dr. Joe Frager. Please, a round of applause for a great friend, a great patriot of both America and Israel. The reason I'm here, the reason I have learned so much about Israel. Thank you very much, sir. And I also would be remiss if I did not thank Jennifer for being here. The smartest, most talented, wonderful woman I have ever met, my best friend, my partner. Thank you for being here so much with me. So I get the chance to talk to a lot of American audiences. In the next couple of weeks, I'll be talking to Republicans in Alabama, in Michigan, in Washington State, in Minnesota, in different states across America. And I always talk about three things in each speech, three things that Americans need to remember. One, that history is not over, that the trajectory of life continues, that what we have in America, as the second point, is not inevitable. A lot of Americans assume that because America is the richest and most powerful and bountiful country in the world, that will just perpetuate itself. And we live comfortably under, we have two oceans on our east and our west, and Canada and Mexico on our north and our south, and we sometimes get very complacent in the understanding that America will always be the world's superpower, capable of wielding our influence economically, politically, or diplomatically as we see fit. This room understands that history is not over and that nothing is inevitable in this world. More than anything else, standing in this hotel, in this very city, in this very country, it's palatable, that sense. It's part of that sense of purpose that draws me back to this country and to the bond, the eternal bond that we share between our two nations. The third thing, after history is not over and America is not inevitable, is that if the 21st century, the century we are in, is not a century led by Americans and free peoples, Americans, Israelis, and others, then this century will not be a free century. The 20th century was not I don't have to tell this room what the world went through in the 20th century to be where we are today. Wars, holocausts, wars for independence that put us in this very room today. If the 21st century is not led bravely by free men and free women, principally America, Israel, and our limited number of partners in this world, then the 21st century could very well be dark. History is not over. America is not inevitable, and while Israel and the Jewish people may live eternally, the status of this state is by no means inevitable, as everyone in this room knows. So it is on us as free people to make sure that we guard it at every turn and fight to keep the 21st century a free century. So I'm here to say a bit on behalf of America, and I don't purport to speak on behalf of my country or all Americans at all, that we are very proud that America is back on the world stage. You know, the minister talked about the head of the octopus, talked about Iran, and the many tentacles that the Iranian regime has in the world today, nefariously, both for Israel and for the United States. And just all you have to do is look at how the Obama administration addressed the issue of Iran versus the Trump administration. And of course, the Obama administration did everything they could to strike a horrific deal that creates an inevitable path to nuclear weapons, funding to the tunes of billions of dollars the hateful terrorist Iranian regime seeking death to America and death to Israel, as well as the continuation of development of missiles with the capability of a nuclear capacity which threaten the very existential existence of America. That is what the Obama regime gave the world. Obama administration, I should say. Freudian slip. The Trump administration, by contrast, has called out from day one the actions of the Iranian regime and stood steadfast by our Israeli partners. creating a moment that has brought about the opportunity for the declaration that came just months ago of Jerusalem as the eternal and undivided capital of Israel. And I'm very proud of what our president has done. But America is back because our president is willing to speak truth. Not just about the truth that we've all known for millennium, but certainly for decades as American policy, that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, but the truth that without investment of our partners, NATO is irrelevant. The truth that without using every power at our means, ISIS will not be destroyed, and we must seek to absolutely and completely obliterate them. The truth that Europe, as Ken pointed out so aptly, is a museum soon to be drowned out by radical Islam and Islamism should they not address their lack of sovereignty, their demographic problems, and their inability to defend their culture. Those truths need to be reiterated. The truth of trade and bad trade deals, the truth of North Korea and their nuclear Armageddon that they proposed, the truth of the fake news media, which was mentioned before. I am very proud to work for the Fox News Channel in the United States of America. Now, one of our mottos has long been fair and balanced. We do our best to report, as we say, and let you decide. The reality is, like here in Israel, so I'm told, most of the media, the overwhelming amount of media in the United States of America is not just left-wing, but very left-wing. And giving a free pass to the Obama administration for an entire 8 years, while seeking every single day to do everything they can to undermine the duly elected President of the United States, Donald Trump. To the point where here we are, 13 months after the election of a new president, 13 months after the election of a new commander-in-chief, and Bob Mueller's special counsel, which I'm sure all of you have read about, seeking to investigate Russian collusion, what have they found out? That there were 13 Russians with Twitter accounts and Facebook pages seeking to influence Americans and undermine our democracy. And what we have found out is that our press, wittingly or unwittingly, along with their Democratic allies, have been willing to exacerbate the influence, the perceived influence of Russia, thereby serving the interests of Russians, undermining the faith in our democracy at every turn. We live in a moment where, unfortunately, fake news is ubiquitous. No country has suffered more detriment of fake news than the state of Israel. Which is why this is my third trip here to Israel. I was here in 2013, here in 2016, here again. And every turn I learn more about the lies that are told about the Jewish people, about the history of this land, about the founding of Israel, about the Israeli government, about the treatment of Arabs and Palestinians, about the West Bank, about Judea and Samaria, about Jerusalem, about the Old City, that if revealed to the world would change the way the world sees Israel. Which is why I take a solemn responsibility in coming here and learning from Joe and from others about the truth on the ground, and then going back to America and fighting the fake news about the Arab-Israeli conflict, the Arab-Israeli peace process, the so-called two-state solution that is still drips off the lips of the intelligentsia in America today, when if you walk the ground today, you understand there is no such thing as the outcome of a two-state solution. There is one state. And what I love about this group is the eternal optimism in the belief of the Jewish people, of the scripture, of this land, and the understanding that for years, if not this year in Jerusalem, then next year in Jerusalem, but we are here in Jerusalem. And today, Jennifer and I and others had a chance to go see the Western Wall of the Temple Mount, the Western Wall tunnels, so much of the Old City. And as you stand there, you can't help but behold the miracle before you. And it got me thinking about another miracle that I hope all of you don't see too far away. Because 1917 was a miracle. 1948 was a miracle. 1967 was a miracle. 2017, the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital was a miracle. And there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible. I don't know how it would happen. You don't know how it would happen, but I know that it could happen. That's all I know. And a step in that process, a step in every process, is the recognition that facts and activities on the ground truly matter. And that's why going and visiting Judea and Samaria, understanding that sovereignty, the very sovereignty of Israeli soil, Israeli cities, locations, is a critical next step to showing the world that this is the land for Jews and the land of Israel. And I believe, as was mentioned, he said you need to, what was mentioned is you need to buy the ticket. Don't just wish for 40 years to win the lottery, buy the ticket. I would submit to you, in light of the support you have in Washington, D.C., the support you have amongst patriotic Americans, amongst evangelical Christians, amongst believers, amongst Republicans, even amongst some Democrats who can barely say it anymore in Washington. Buy the ticket, take your action, do what needs to be done here in Israel, because I truly believe this is a moment where America will have your back. You have Donald Trump in the White House. You have Mike Pence as vice president. You have Nikki Haley at the UN. You have true believers in Israel and America that have your back. So thank you for this honor for this evening, Dr. Joe Frager, everyone here. God bless you and God bless the state of Israel. Thank you.
În primele sale zile la președinția Statelor Unite, Donald Trump a anunțat public că deleagă Guvernul Statelor Unite să sprijine un proiect de dezvoltare a inteligenței artificiale cu un buget uriaș de $500 de miliarde pentru a permite crearea proiectului Stargate. În timp ce proiectul Stargate va fi finanțat din fonduri private, Trump a spus că își va folosi puterile de președinte pentru a asigura realizarea rapidă a acestuia, pentru a rămâne în avantaj față de China și alți competitori în dezvoltarea inteligenței artificiale. Mai mulți jurnaliști și lideri evanghelici americani au atras atenția asupra potențialului pericol pe care îl reprezintă aceste noi tehnologii, mai ales dacă sunt folosite pentru controlul populației sau, și mai periculos, în crearea unui zeu digital sau unui om hibrid conectat la aceste noi descoperiri. Transumaniștii anticipează chiar că progresul inteligenței artificiale va permite nemurirea umană. Chiar dacă Trump nu este conștient de aceste pericole, săptămâna trecută s-au așezat bazele legale pentru ca o parte din profețiile biblice să poată fi împlinite.